Let's imagine a runaway train bearing down the tracks. You are standing next to a switch. If you do nothing, the train will continue on its path, killing 5 people. But if you pull the switch, the train will change tracks and kill 1 person. According to Wikipedia, based on various surveys, about 90% of people will pull the switch, killing 1 person to save 5. But what if the person on the second track was your daughter, and the 5 people were actually the entire human race? And what if there were already an additional 24 people standing ready to pull the switch? Now it becomes a bit more complicated. Apparently not. At the end of The Last of Us, it is revealed that in order to create a vaccine for the fungal zombie plague that caused the apocalypse, Ellie would have to die. Upon learning that, Joel goes on a murder spree, saves Ellie, and thereby condemns all of humanity, all the while being cheered on by everyone who played the game.
Please be next to him, her.
The only problem with that is that makes us all huge hypocrites. Joel is not a good person. Through the entire game, he is selfish, completely lacks in empathy, and shows an absolute disregard for human life, willing to kill and sacrifice anybody who gets in his way. But we empathize with him, because he has suffered a great loss. In comes Ellie, a good-natured, kind little girl who has by chance been given the opportunity to save all of humanity. She's someone Joel, just like us, can't help but love instantly. But what she really is a test. A test to see if this bitter, selfish old man has any humanity left. Joel fails the test, and most of us with him. He saves Ellie, not because of some higher moral principle. He saves her because he just couldn't lose her as well. The rest of humanity means nothing to him. He learned nothing from Ellie. All he cares about is still just himself. And no matter what you tell yourself, he doesn't even care about Ellie. He disregards her wishes and lies to her multiple times, just so he wouldn't have to face losing her. Which is exactly what makes him so relatable. The truth is that most of us would not only not pull the switch if it meant killing someone we love, we would mow down anyone and everyone who tried. We root for him and applaud his actions from the very beginning right up to the very end. And even in those last seconds when the game tries to make you realize Joel is the villain of The Last of Us, we don't confront our own bias and hypocrisy, we just pretend he did the right thing. And after 7 years of pretending, we have convinced ourselves that his death can't possibly be justice, but is instead a tragedy. The Last of Us Part 2 is definitive proof that trying to show people their hypocrisy is not only futile, but completely impossible.
I get, yeah, sucks to get your dad killed,
Worth
but
it, though?
especially the torture bit, I guess. That's the weird part as well.
May your survival be long.
And may your death be swift.
Oh, I'll make sure it ain't. I'll make sure it fucking ain't. Especially the torture bit.
It is true that the game itself is nowhere near as good as the first one. They made a drastic shift in tone, and they completely failed to evoke the emotions they wanted. And even though the writers showed in the first game that they know how to make the audience enjoy being told we are all huge hypocrites, in this one, they decided to just try and force us to care for people we would rather see dead. And for some reason, they try and justify Joel's death by showing us that his killers aren't all that bad, instead of simply sticking to the entire point of the first game, that Joel is the bad guy. If you don't believe me, or feel outraged or personally offended by his death, or somehow think they defiled his character with it, maybe just rewatch the last few minutes of the first game.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
I can't say if Joel deserved to be brutally beaten to death with a golf club, but I certainly don't think he deserved a happily ever after with Ellie by his side. Love shouldn't excuse your actions any more than hate. And it truly boggles my mind as to why Last of Us Part 2 didn't explore that theme, instead of just going for revenge bad. However, what The Last of Us Part 2 fails to achieve in being a good game, it more than makes up for in exposing our hypocrisy of no matter how in the wrong I know I am. Fuck you, you motherfucking cunt!
When a character in a film, for example, acts in revenge, he's often seen carrying out the same bad deed that was originally done to him. But we still recognize his action as somewhat noble and satisfying. We even enjoy seeing anger if it's justified. I'll make sure it fucking ain't.